In this video, I will be exploring the female gaze and how the concept intertwines with the intended meaning of moving images, potentially differing from the audience's interpretation. This essay will be specifically analyzing the 2020 television adaptation of Sally Rooney's Normal People. Normal People follows Irish students Marianne Sheridan and Connell Waldron. Connell, the male, is beloved by seemingly everyone, as he's a standard athlete with charm and smarts. Marianne, the female, is equally if not more smart, but her brains are used as the root of the joke constantly. Her peers mock her introversion despite being bullied relentlessly for her maturity. Their storylines overlap, together experiencing realistic complications and circumstances as they enter and navigate adulthood. Marianne is the main focus of the show, the majority of the story being told from her perspective and through her eyes. She contrasts typical female protagonist characters in many ways. As an example, Marianne is the one pining for avoidant Connell's affection for the majority of the time, flipping the typical narrative of the male yearning for the woman who is clearly uninterested. Normal People presents an authentic glance at adolescent relationships, illustrating the difficulties and often awkwardness of communication. Furthermore, Marianne depicts a complicated, somewhat self-aware representation of the female gaze, being that the character herself isn't written or performed in a way that fits the male gaze, though if taken out of context at times may, but instead exemplifies the power dynamic between the main characters while providing a vulnerable example of a female-led story. The show truly allows audiences to empathize with Marianne, connecting with her emotions. In addition, in the later episodes, Marianne feels as though she is unworthy of love and begins engaging in sadistic acts in the bedroom with her new boyfriend. When she's back with Connell, he refuses to hurt her, though she claims she wants to be treated like an object and to be told what to do, eat, and say. This is a reflection of aspects of the traditional male gaze. Erica Balsam comments on and explains popular tropes and representations that depict the female gaze, discussing and questioning qualifications and executions of the idea throughout her article In Search of the Female Gaze. The gaze is ever-changing, so confining the idea to specific requirements can be limiting and regressive. Balsam critiques Bray's ideas to some degree, seeking to avoid the singularity prevalent with the male gaze. Balsam debates the standard female gaze qualifications, such as the main character having to be a woman, the story being told from her perspective, and that it critiques the patriarchal order. Normal People is not fully told from Marianne's perspective, though I would argue that she is the main character. The show does a masterful job of depicting female adolescents, truly allowing the audience, despite their gender, to relate and understand deeper levels of what women go through. Additionally, the eroticization of their bodies is conscious. The intimacy is raw and tasteful and never pointless. Without the sex scenes, a huge part of Connell and Marianne's dynamic would be missing, for they're able to communicate more with their bodies, the nude vulnerability being extremely telling. Balsam debates that films seemingly explicitly objectifying women may actually demonstrate the female gaze in some form. This is prevalent in the show, for Marianne's nudity represents what she wants and without context may seem like objectification, but it is instead more the opposite. The gaze contributes to the show's meaning by flipping popular teen dynamics and relationships while expressing women's desires. Without this at its core, Normal People would lack a lot of its heart. Furthermore, Connell is a depiction of the female gaze in a unique way. From the way he perceives himself to the way he treats Marianne, he fits the non-traditional masculine persona. Regarding his relationship with Marianne, the fact that he always makes sure she's comfortable and prioritizes her needs as well as the general respect he gives her displays these admirable characteristics. When the characters have sex, it's always intimate as opposed to scandalous or dirty. In addition, the depiction of Connell's mental health also strives away from the patriarchy and toxic masculinity. Specifically after the tragic passing of his close friend, the show dives into Connell's debilitating anxiety and depression, which isn't as common as it should be on screen. In her text, Mary Ann Doane states that the women's relationship to the camera and the scopic regime is quite different than that of the male. In the first few episodes of Normal People, specifically when the characters are in high school, the firm dichotomy between the characters can be simplified by their respective genders. Connell is a typical male jock and a heartthrob to many, while Marianne is shy and yearning. Connell saves Marianne from her abusive brother, which is a popular trope, the man saving the damsel in distress. Marianne needs him, which exemplifies their dynamic. The gender stereotypes prevalent shift throughout the show, reflecting their ambiguity. As the show progresses, viewers are made aware that traditional male expectations are imposed on Connell and that he varies from the standard, as well as the fact that he truly needs Marianne as much, if not more, than she needs him. In addition, some points in the semiotics of cinema deciphers the importance of denotation and connotation in film. Christian Metz details the importance of both coming together to create meaning, affecting how audiences interpret cinema. Denotation is described as represented by the literal meaning of the spectacle reproduced in the image, or of the sounds duplicated by the soundtrack. Throughout the show, the images allow for interpretation, the characters' glances showing how they truly feel and what they want. The dialogue and shots affect our perception of the characters and storyline. Metz expresses connotation as the deeper meaning superimposed over the denotation. Normal People relies on connotation to fully convey the characters' divergence and reasoning behind how and why they react to each other. The show's style and figurative aspects build the underlying themes of miscommunication, mental health, and social class. In his article on film scores, music journalist John Hadusek emphasizes their significance, mentioning that their primary function is to create an atmosphere. Stephen Rennick's score for Normal People creates a soft, emotional ambiance, creating meaning. The overlaying music is especially prominent in the more heavily emotional and intimate scenes. The track titles also contribute to the show's meaning. For the most part, they are fairly basic descriptions of what's transpiring. As an example, the tracks Connell Messed Up and First Day at Trinity generally detail the moments. At times, the titles speak for the characters or voice their true feelings, such as I really love you. It's hard for them to communicate, so the tracks often take over for them. The use of audio in film and TV is integral and can shift and define mood significantly. If utilized properly, the audience will be engrossed in the story, experiencing emotions alongside the characters and feeling the way the composer intends in various scenarios. These features all weave together, building on and explaining the female gaze implications while masterfully portraying Connell and Marianne's character development, leaving audiences evaluating their own traits and lives. Although art is subjective, when it lingers and affects you, the experience was objectively greater. I feel as though Normal People is a prime example of successfully intertwining key aspects of filmmaking to evoke a memorable emotional experience.